Mame fa na se ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Richard Ahiagbah ama a surprising message on President John Dramani Mahama. Now Richard Ahiagbah the communication officer for the New Patriotic Party, the biggest opposition party currently, leader ene Afenyomake. Now message ben Richard Ahiagbah about President John Dramani Mahama. Now this message will shock you. So what your message now what they home aba comment section ho. Do you think what Richard Ahiagbah can or from the reality and answer he is speaking from a political party's interest? Yenti Richard Ahiagbah Nensama Odia Tuja.
Mr. Ahiagbah, we're listening to you.
Good morning to you, and good morning to my co-panelists. But let me say a very special good morning to the Yana Na Abubakar. This smoke that I'm wearing is his, and I wear it on special days. Yes, this is about the third time I'm wearing it. I wish him long life. I wish him more wisdom to guide the good people of Tagbam. Let me also, as I started earlier, it's a real privilege to be on the same program with our senior Kwesi Pratt. I think he's a legend. We don't celebrate him enough, but time in, time out, I think we need to take moments to acknowledge what he has done for nothing at all to pave the way for these kinds of engagement and the fourth Republican democracy. I think that he stands very tall. That's why sometimes listening to him is refreshing and it's occasion for us to learn. So I think I just have to do that. And of course to my brother who is battling at NITA, and of course Solo. Solo, who is pretending to be a member of a different party but still is an MPP at heart. 1 year of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is confusing. I suppose that's why Sticker cannot put a finger on anything, and that for him is neither here nor there. But I think I'm clear in my mind where to put his performance. And I agree by and large with the assessment of the minority in Parliament that is a retrogression, that we had skipped backward. Even before the coming of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, there were these social media posts where Akufo-Addo had the baton and he was edging forward and running, putting Ghana on the map, big things happening, Ghana beating Nigeria to foreign direct investment, and everybody was claiming Ghana. And then suddenly in that video, President Mahama gets the baton and he was running backward, as if it was a prophecy. That's what we're talking about today. I'll come to where my brother is talking about economic something. We'll come to that one. But the 2024 election was contested on the back of a few things. People were concerned about a few things. The reason the NDC won was people's concern about a number of things. Chief among them is jobs. And second is cost of living, okay, which tied into the economy and infrastructure and the rest of those. Now, on the back of employment, we should ask the question, if you are assessing President Mahama's 1 year, you want to focus on his proposal to deal with that job situation, which the young people of our country were clamoring for. And today, if that were the case, that he made a proposal to address the youth unemployment situation, it will be manifest in assessing him 1 year that yes, he's created 1,000 jobs, 1 million jobs. My brother is not able to cite one. He's not able to tell us he's created 100 jobs, at least 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 jobs. He can't say. But he can say, which he refused to say, that he came to sack thousands of people who were gainfully employed, who were employed through processes that are known to our public recruitment processes. He sacked them, primarily to make space for the NDC grassroots to fill it. Now the question is that if you can create jobs, why sack people who are already in jobs merely to put your people in there? So jobs was a big issue. Today, my brother can help us. Maybe you can get somebody from the ministries to come and tell us that they have created this amount of jobs, but they haven't. So on the account of job creation, which was a pivotal matter in the 2024 election, whereupon the NDC, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, proposed the 24-hour economy. Today, we don't have the 24-hour economy functional. We don't have the 24-hour economy functional. It's nowhere to be found. It's now in dossiers of books carried around by the venerable Kuzitando. It's in books. But what the young people want are jobs. Now it's theoretical. The government was big on making that promise. And that promise, Senator, was presented to us as a ready-made solution that upon assuming office, a switch would be flipped on and 24-hour economy would happen. My brother was touting it in the Eastern region. But what do we see today? So a year on, nothing has happened on the job front. What has happened on the job front, Senator, is one, the sacking of people who are in jobs to be replaced by NDC operatives. Two, a number of strike actions in the job front dealing with economic matters or cost of living matters. You know about the registered nurses and midwives strike, which happened, where services were withdrawn. People were dying. In fact, people died as a result of that strike, simply because government could not honor agreements that it is reached with workers. That strike lasted well about 2 weeks. People died. And the nurses and midwives were not interested in killing people or not being there so people can die. They wanted themselves to survive because they were not surviving. They needed cost of living adjustments. They wanted the agreement reached with government to improve their lives. Adhere to, but government did not do it. And that happened in 2025. How can that year be a stellar year? Cannot be. You know, it's matters related to cost of living and the economy. President Mahama stormed the meeting with organized labor. In a Rambo style, came in and said, oh, let's take 10%. Things will improve. You know, we just came in. We'll come in and stabilize things, and once things begin to improve, we all will share the benefit. Was that not what he said? And so if today, my brother is saying that it has gone so far, so good, better, and all of that, why are workers not sharing? Why are workers not benefiting from what they promised? So from 10%, we're back to 9%. And so based on their own conduct, and the agreement they have reached with labor, it means that things have not gone well, because the narrative was that once we come in, things shape up and all of that, you share the benefit. Now they are promoting the narrative that things have gone well. If things have gone well, why are you giving 9% instead of at least the minimum, the same 10%? So workers have lost. So that year, 2025, cannot be a good year. At all, cannot be. If you look at 2025, a very difficult issue that aims, and I'll come back to the economy, I'm not done, but this one is just, aching me that I have to put it in, that we allowed in this country for an equal arm of government, the head of the judiciary, to be removed. It was the first order of business when it came in, to remove the Chief Justice. Now, if you came and the goal was to stabilize, consolidate our democracy, strengthen the economy, and which economy has in relationship with the international environment, and confidence is key. One of the reasons why somebody would take his money from wherever in the world to want to bring it to Ghana is because they have a certain sense that our legal judicial system is fair and balanced. Then you have an executive contemplate that, no, we want to have a Chief Justice agreeable with us. And that what Chief Justice was there, we disagree with. We think that we can't work with the person. And I'm saying we think that we can't work with the person because there was a matter relating to the removal of the EC, which petition was submitted to the Jubilee House on the 27th of January, long before the decision to remove the Chief Justice. That petition was not ferried to the Chief Justice as designed in Constitution. And the President is just a conveyor belt to hand that over. But he didn't. It is upon the removal of the Chief Justice to have the agreeable Chief Justice, politically, I'm talking about political motive. Because when you say these things, sometimes they say, which part of the law is broken? As for the law, it's independent. Okay? The dependent matters are the politics, which are designed, and the law is just giving effect. That we are in a political space, and so we can see where they were going, because they were making allusions before the process terminated. High-ranking officials of the government and the party NDC were saying that as for the Chief Justice, a goner. So how is it that the process is what defined or more or less guided her removal, when beforehand officials in the government and in the party, the NDC, conclusively saying it's a goner, and inevitably that was the conclusion, that she left. So this, an unprecedented happening, something that aimed at the stability of our democracy, the sustenance of our democracy, the growth and the respect of our democracy. How can that happen in a year and you grade yourself that you have done well? You couldn't have done well. You couldn't have done well. And so 2025, first year of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, on the basis of that action, cannot be said to be a good performance at all. Now, on the economy proper, Senator, we are today talking about stability of the city, fiscal discipline or consolidation. Our debt to GDP is coming down. We left office and debt to GDP at the time was about 61.8. In fact, the finance minister in January 2025 reported about 53 or so, 53.7. He reported. Okay? The finance minister, Honorable Atufoso, reported that. So it means that we're on a trajectory. The economy was recovering. We're on a trajectory. Today, the argument about this to be the last IMF that will go to, which is a conversation we'll come back to, that program has put us on a path. And you know, and Kwesi would confirm this, that when you are in an IMF program, it's baked in, right? The policies are baked in. There's no wiggle room for you to try anything extraordinary. The terms are agreed and they are baked in. So what we are seeing is the evolution, okay, of that program. Let somebody tell us that they have come into office and they have implemented 1, 2, 3, 4 policies. That's what has brought us here. It's baked in. We took the blame. They are taking the praise. We took the blame, made the difficult decisions to set the economy on a path that it's on today, and they are saying that they have done it. I challenge my brother to tell us, what is it ingenious they have done? They have added on since they came into office to bring about what they are celebrating today. Rather, if I were them, I'll be sober in watching what we can do from middle of this year, post IMF, to see how we maintain the gains that we have had. Consistent with that conversation, the narrative that they have achieved so and so and so, you can tell from 2017 when we came in, GDP went from 3.4 to about 8.1 in 2017. Okay, 6.5 or so in 2018, about 6.8 or so. On average, that 3 years before COVID, the economy was growing about 7% on average.
On an IMF program too.
I just made the point. You understand? I just made the point. But I just made the point, right? That on average, because the policies were baked in. So, for me, on the economy, I would say that they better watch it and be sober, where we all have a certain responsibility toward ensuring that government acts within a certain range to ensure the economy continues to grow. On the city. So therefore, this whole thing about the economy, so and so, they haven't done anything extraordinary to deserve any praise, to say that they have done something, except they can tell us here and now that yes, we have done 1, 2, 3, 4 things, which is why the economy is there. Otherwise, the economy had turned the corner. The economy started picking up in 2023. 2024, you saw it. And 2025, the expectation is that it will continue to grow. Okay? And so they have not done anything ingenious on that matter. But for me, what is instructive is the currency, because the currency conversation is one of the key ones that all of us are having. But even though the cedi is stabilizing, I will believe it's artificial because it's not a market-led stabilization. If it's a market-led stabilization, Senna, you would see that our exports is growing. You will see how we are accumulating the extra dollars that is strengthening our currency. You don't see it. The reports don't show. The one export that they continue to tout is the gold. But you tell me, how many jobs are you creating in that sector? That's how come, even though the currency is at where it is, it doesn't reflect in terms of cost of living. It doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, what the exchange rates they have is artificial. Most of the time, if you go to the bank and you want exchange, you won't get it. You know that strategically, as part of policy, they have put a lot of impediment in terms of foreign exchange transfer if you go through the banks. A lot of my friends who have their wards and family people have their wards outside this country, and people who are seeking to go to school outside this country and needing to pay something to the school, it's part of fees and all of that, we're not getting the transfers to be effected because that rate is artificial. It's not. The real market rate is out there. And so the currency stabilization is a questionable situation where they are artificially pumping the cedi to stand. At some point, the cedi ought to stand on its own 2 feet. And that's when you go to the market, the feet under the cedi is wobbly. So the gold issue that is keeping the cedi alive, the Bank of Ghana excessive intervention, which initially they denied, but yet have to come around and admit because the IMF outed them. That is what is keeping the cedi. And now the question, Senna, you ask is that, so how did we arrive at this gold for reserve issue. Again, the New Patriotic Party brought about that idea, that ingenious idea. In fact, this is not anything to contest. The NDC themselves, independent people, have attested that this is the brainchild of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, implemented by the New Patriotic Party, which drove and became the backbone of the city. And I think that for reasons that we have arrived at this ingenious idea, I sometimes I'm pained that we didn't arrive at this idea much longer, because we have the gold. And gold, as it is, has inherent value in terms of foreign exchange earnings. But for one to come to terms and say, look, if this is our problem, let's use what we have to solve what problem confronts us. And that's how come the Gold for Reserve issue initiative came about. And it started stabilizing the city before we left office. Before we left office. When we left office, the exchange rate, even though Solo will not admit it and Doc will not admit it, I know Kwesi will admit it, that the city before we left office was stabilizing. Whereupon some point you saw that it went to 16 to $1, and the rest, when we left office, was around declining around 14 or so to $1. And today it's about 12. Of course, if you go by the artificial Bank of Ghana rate, to be about 10, which you can't find. It's only in the spirit that you can access that. But in fiscal terms, we have CD, you want $1, nobody will give it to you at 10. You won't get it. Okay? So that's the issue. So this whole 1 year, the whole business of we are coming to power to solve the problems of cost of living did not materialize. We are coming to power to solve the problem of unemployment for the youth, whereupon they promised they are going to implement 24-hour economy. It is not there. So the conversation you are hearing and the grading that is coming, oh, excellent, and they are holding church services to announce it and all of that, it is happening around tables such as this. It is happening around tables where people who are close to the pot and are dipping their hands or are close to it, and some facilitation is coming for them and their lives have changed. They are the ones making that narrative. But if you come to my street, where people are dealing with real stuff issues, you would realize and you will conclude that things have worsened. Unemployment has worsened. We are just yet to see the numbers. Okay? But unemployment has worsened. If you need any evidence, take it that some thousands of people have been retrenched. Those people have added to the number of unemployment. Take it also that the government has, the government as of now has not told us until I think current update is that my brother has not been able to tell us they have created 1,000 jobs. He has not been able to tell us. They said they are creating, in this 2026, created by some 800 or so thousand jobs. And that a big push, about 490 something thousand, okay, of the jobs they plan to create in this 2026 is from the big push. And you know what job that is? You know what job that is? Now we have thousands of young people who have gone to school, who have completed universities. Every year we are producing them. And you make a proposition that you're coming to solve that problem. And under your big push, you are employing a number of about 492,000 or so in a big push to come and carry concrete. To come and do what? Is that a sustainable job? Is that a job you send your daughter, your son to school to graduate? And on the back of an election, which we say that a large number of young people supported the NDC with the hope that when the NDC come, they would get jobs. Where are the jobs? They are going to be doing construction jobs. Is that why they went to school? It's not a bad job, but people had gone to school for long-term sustainable jobs. That 492,000 jobs is for a period. What about if they finish the construction? How will those people survive? They'll go back to the unemployment fold. Today I'm hearing noises of unemployed associations emerging again. So teachers who have worked, some for 8 months, some for 15 months in a row, government has not been able to pay them. That's a cost of living matter. Nurses who have worked for years and months on end have not been paid when they agitated. Some of them were singled out for treatment because Minister of Energy Minister for Health feels that they didn't talk to him politely. When your resources are detained by someone unlawfully on the back of administrative rigid systems, and your income is locked up, and the person who is supposed to be serving you, you are announcing the pain that detention of your resources is causing. He says that you haven't spoken to him politely. How can a man, a woman speak politely when his livelihood is threatened? But that's what happened in 2025. That's what happened in the first year of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. This 1 year is a disaster. This 1 year is full on slogan and weak on delivery. We have not seen what they promised. Every impression they created for us in the 2024 campaign, the basis for which thousands, I think His Excellency John Dramani Mahama got about 57 or so percent. The basis for that number, the thousands, the millions, I should say, of people who went to cast that vote, the balance of them young people, expecting that, yes, the 24-hour economy at minimum will materialize. It has not materialized. The women, thousands of women, who were ecstatic, who were motivated, who were driven to knock on doors, campaign, go in the streets, because they said some Women Development Bank was going to come. Now, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has been in office 1 year. The Women Development Bank has not materialized. Agriculture, they say, is the backbone of our economy. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's administration, now even this, we are talking 1 year, but into his second year, continue to defund agriculture. The budgetary allocation for agriculture that he inherited in 2024, about 3.34 billion. Maintain that or add to it. If you say you are here to create employment, and agriculture is as real a sector as you have it in our economy, because we say that's the backbone. In the real sector, if you are not investing there, what you're doing is that you are not investing in employment. So you are defunding agriculture. From 3.34 billion, they cut agric by almost about 12%, 2.9 billion. And in 2024, about 34 or so billion, 34 or so percent, to 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. Progressively defunding agriculture. How can you be creating jobs? How can you be creating jobs? So, on balance, the proposition the NDC made to Ghana in 2024 to create jobs, to improve cost of living, and the infrastructure aspect, of course, they are still talking about what they call the big push. So we don't have any inventory to talk about presently. But the point is that on these three material matters, the NDC had disappointed Ghanaians in this 1 year. And I think that this 1 year is not anything to write home about. And so if they are calling church and wearing white to celebrate, I don't think that they earn any plaudits from the balance of Ghanaians, except from analysts and pundits who are given to their deceit, the ones who will be giving them accolades that they have done exceptionally well. On the matter of the economy and the exchange rate, which they are claiming credit for, they have not done anything exceptional. The exchange rate, it is the gold for reserve that is done it, which they have christened Gold Board, is done it, which was put in by the New Patriotic Party. On the economic front, which they're saying stabilization and whatnot, it was something that the MPP started under the IMF program. They have not added anything. And in fact, so now finally, the issue of inflation, very exciting, right? Inflation is at what, 6.3% is what they are saying. They can even bring it to 1 or 0%. But the reality is that, Senna, is that reflecting? Is that reflecting in the cost? It's not. Things are going up. Your electricity, your electricity, your electricity, your electricity. I know you are going to say, you're going to smile at that. Your electricity bill went up this year. It went up. Students at the universities, they are faced with high tuition fees. If inflation is happening, in the sense that it's going down, how are these costs going up? When you ask them, it's, oh, fuel at the pump. What are you talking about? If fuel is going down and everything else is going up, what is wrong with that picture? Everything is wrong with that picture. It means that things are not going down. Things are not going down. So this whole inflation matter that they're talking is neither here nor there, because it's not reflective in the lives of people. And he talks to you about the exchange rate. As for that one, stop it. Because you are wearing white today, I won't go too far on that one. There is nobody in this country that is getting the rate he's talking about. Nobody's getting it. Unless he's not borrowing. He's just talking about it. If he's borrowing, he won't say that. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. You understand? So the point is that this 1 year has been disastrous. Paired with the hope and the promise that was made side by side, it's a big disappointment. And the NDC is investing heavily in PR to try to paint a good picture. But you see, these matters are bread and butter concerns. And so it doesn't matter. You can hire the best spinners. You can hire the best PR people. But when people retreat in their into their closet, at the end of the day, they know how things really are. And I tell you with all humility that things are not good. All the numbers notwithstanding, things are not good in our country. And this 1 year of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has been disastrous. And this idea that some people are pushing for third term, that one is a fantasy. His own party said that will not happen today or tomorrow. It's a fantasy. There are people, what did they say? It's sycophants who are driving that conversation. I didn't say that. People are saying they're driving that sycophantic narrative that he should come. And His Excellency closed on that matter. He foreclosed on that matter that he's not interested. So the sycophants, maybe they missed that memo and they are still pushing that agenda. Nothing in this 1 year compels anybody to want a third term of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. It's been disastrous. It's not lived up to expectation. He was strong on promises and weak on delivery.
Thank you.
Now, just to touch on...
And a minute on that.
Yes, on what is happening in Venezuela. I think the government has taken a position. It is not because we are powerful, and it is not because we also have kinetic strength. It is because we have a moral duty to speak against it. If we keep quiet as a small country, as a developing country, and say that this is, America, so we can't speak against it, what it means is that tomorrow, if we have a resource and America say they are interested in it, they can just jump in here. And the excuse, is untenable. What we have as smaller countries is international law, because we don't have the military strength that the other big countries have. We cannot protect ourselves because we don't have the capabilities. They have over the years built up the capabilities. What we have to protect ourselves is international law and our principled position, and that is exactly what we are exerting now. And I think all other developing countries, smaller countries, big, should speak against it, and to let everybody understand that you cannot attack the sovereignty of another country just because you feel powerful or because you are interested. It's just like, because I have the strength to enter your house, I can just enter your house, rob you off, and go away. Laws then do not matter again. It undermines the whole essence of the UN existence. It undermines the whole essence of cooperation, and it undermines every other sovereignty. And I think that this is the time for everybody to speak up against it and to say no to it. If we keep quiet tomorrow, yesterday it was Libya, today is Venezuela, tomorrow it can be Ghana.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Abbas Amagobono Finso says President Mahama's 1 year in office is a blessing to the country. Now, the cost of living is better compared to the previous government. May the Almighty bless NDC. This one is from Augustine Kofi from Likpe Bala, Guan District. Who says Uncle Pratt is a true mentor, always on point. He has highlighted, or I pray for his life. May God grant and guide him through. Richard?
Kwesi will understand this, perhaps. Oh, yes, of course. Solo and my brother Mark will understand. I say, Akuko Satra Kuma. So, all my dance here will not be pleasing to the masses who are testing, because I understand their bias often towards the NDC, which is okay. But Sarah, Kwesi raised some points that I need to come back to, and then Solo also. As for my brother Mark, his is an inherent defensive position, so I'll ignore it, because that's the only position he can hold. But as for Solo and Kwesi, I think I'll come back. You know, so you talked about the gold for reserve and the idea that the country has been accumulating gold since time. Yes, that amounted to what? Some 8.78 tons. That's it. That's it. Yes. So if you agree that that's it, from time till 2023, when the decision consciously was made that we can leverage our gold to stabilize our currency and to stabilize prices for ourselves, i.e. the gold for oil and the gold for reserve program. You saw that in a spate of just a little over a year, the historic gold accumulation of our country, which stood at 8.78 tons, so about 8.8 tons, increased or quadrupled from 2023, May 2023, to 30.53 tons in less than in about a year. So that tells you there is a deliberate focused policy to do that. Whereas before, that was not the policy.
So the idea was there already.
No, I'm just saying that. Now, I'm just saying that, yes. So if the idea was there, determined to achieve the outcome for which we purposed it, we would have had more gold reserve than the 8.7 tons. So it's embarrassing. Hold on. Yeah, it's embarrassing. No, yeah, it's embarrassing for a gold-producing country. Even in Africa, I think Ghana is the second highest to South Africa, or perhaps at some, the highest. Yeah. You understand? To have in its reserve 8.7 tons of gold, until people decided that that's the direction we'll go. And what gives you comfort to think that this idea was catalyzed in that moment was the fact that the NDC haven't come into office. In fact, in our 2024 proposition to Ghanaians, we're going to institutionalize the gold for reserve program, which the NDC has now done in the gold board. So if you had Baumia administration or MPP administration now in office a year now, you would have had a variation of the gold board. Perhaps we will not call it the gold board, because that was a proposition. The idea for this gold board and then the gold for reserve program came from the MPP. I mean, that matter cannot be argued. That cannot be argued. Okay? So it's good for Ghana. They are doing it. They cannot be argued. The Uncle Kwesi talked about the energy sector debt to 3 billion. I've seen that number, but our handing over numbers are 2.5 billion. Now, if you look at the NDC, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama leaving office, what was the energy debt under him? You say that in contrast, then you can compare. He left office with a 2.5 billion energy debt. At the time, if you convert to Ghana cedis, about some 22 or 21 billion Ghana cedis. That was the debt he left. And the balance of the energy sector challenges we're facing was aggravated by the contract, the IPP contract they signed. That's a key. That's a key component of the debt that we have. Now who costs them? Now who costs them? So the matter of energy sector debt and all of that, that matter must be contextualized properly. There's also this conversation, I think Kwesi raised it also, about the national debt. And I made a small point about that earlier in my submission to say that we took the flag and they are taking the glory. The domestic debt exchange program began the process of streamlining our debt to GDP ratio. Of course, we went to the IMF partly on the back of the fact that our debts became unsustainable. Some of the conditions that the IMF required that we meet was to front load, okay, the processes of streamlining our debt. This was unprecedented. Okay, there were instances where whilst you are in the program, you are required to take those steps to achieve that outcome. So the 55% debt to GDP ratio that was expected to be achieved by 2027 for us under the program was designed to be achieved before. The effort to achieve that was forced or was supposed to be front-loaded. That's how come you saw that we had to do the debt to GDP, the domestic debt exchange program, as well as the external component. That difficult but inevitable situation that Ghana was put in has resulted in about 60 billion Ghana cedis of savings on the domestic front. On the external front, all put together and more, about 9.3 billion, 5 billion being savings on the Eurobond, about 4.3 or so being savings on the debt servicing regime that that we have inherited or we have enjoyed under the program from 2023 to 2026, and a reduction, a net reduction or an average reduction in the interest rate from 8 to 5. So today, if you see our debt to GDP ratio, okay, we left office, it was high about 85.7% or so when we went into the program. And it came down, I think 2024, it came down to about 71 or 72%. And when we're leaving office, about 61.8%. Okay? It is estimated that it will get up again to 67% in 2025. You see that there's an uptick. There's an uptick in debt accumulation. But the process to bring our debt to GDP down started under the New Patriotic Party. And also, the point was made that, we have gone to sign an agreement, part of the IMF program, to say that electricity tariff will go up every quarter. It's part of the program. So if you are taking credit for what the program has done, why don't you take credit for that one? But you see, the NDC and my brother is making the point that, okay, so they have done something extraordinary and things have come down. The economy is okay. It's fantastic. It's better than what it used to be. Okay, inflation has come down. And thanks, Kwesi, for updating the information by 5.4
now. Yeah.
Yes, percent. You understand? So if that has happened, can't you look at the situation and adjust also? Is it automatic that you have to increase it? Because my brother Mark is saying that when you come into an IMF program, it's not automatic that you have room to wiggle around. So in the cost of living matter, why can they not wiggle and bring the tariff down instead of increasing it because they say we have gone to sign the agreement? Don't they have room to wiggle it down? Or that one, their hands are tied. Or as for that one, when they go, IMF will cane them. IMF will cane you if you bring it down. Kwesi talked about we have signed an agreement to freeze public sector recruitment. When a government tells you, when a party tells you that they are going to create employment, is it only in the government sector? If that is it, then we should pack up and go, because then the government won't create any jobs. Is that the only thing they can do? Then we are doomed. Say now, we are doomed. So they have not created jobs. They cannot find any excuse. They cannot find any hiding place in anybody's quarters to say that there was some IMF agreement. Anyway, when they were in office, when they signed the agreement to IMF, was that not the case?
2 minutes on the other issue.
No, just wait. I mean,
yes.
we'll come to Venezuela. As for that one, no, as for that one.
no, on the IMF matter, because there's the matter.
Oh, that one is 1 second. And on the Venezuela matter, I'm going to be a spectator in Kwesi's delivery and submission. So here's the matter: the NDC cannot find any hiding place. They have not created jobs, quite simply, but that's what they promised the young people of this country. And so there's this economic understanding that often the proletariat, we the people, often bid against our interests. When I'm sitting here advocating for the very people who are testing to your program, they say, oh, we are fine. But they are not fine. They know they are not fine. I am advocating for them, but for some reason, for their politics, they are texting, oh, as for Richard, we don't know what he's talking about. But they are feeling the pinch. Some of them, if they are not teachers, part of the 6,000 teachers who are agitating for having worked for months on end and haven't been paid anything, largely because of, lazy administrative regime, they too are texting to say, Richard, we don't know. They know, this thing, they know. So there is a separation of our feelings. When it comes to discussing the matter in public, the masses pretend, because it's their party. Of course, in our country, it's still empirical that largely people vote based on party identification and ethnic sentiments. So people are voting based on those things, and they are separating that from the economic reality. Today, if anybody is telling me Ghana is better, I don't understand why they're telling me, as Uncle Kwesi eloquently said, that it is now the norm and a welcome norm that our children who we have trained to nurse us in this country, to help our health system, we are clapping for their export. We are clapping for their export. If we have a government...
1 minute more, please.
Don't worry about it. I'll finish for you soon. You understand? If we have a government that promised people we are going to create jobs, that government is specializing in the exportation of people. Critical. And if you have not been, you were with me the last time at the hospital. If you have not been to the hospital in any time recently, you would clap for that. We have a gaping need for healthcare professionals, particularly nurses. We need to build more hospitals. If we have not built them, it doesn't mean we don't have a need for them. If anybody tells you we don't have a need for nurses who have access in their sitting home, it's not true. The problem is not that we don't need them. The problem is financial clearance for that. So for a government that walked into office and say, oh yeah, we are coming to change conditions, we are coming to improve things, and they are specializing and wanting to be clapped for exporting people to go and work elsewhere, when we need those services here, for me, cannot be a year where the economy has gone well or the country has gone well. Because all of these matters are tied inherently, inextricably to the economy. All this conversation. So you cannot tell me that the economy is good, but you are doing these kinds of things. You cannot tell me the economy is good, but you are not creating jobs. You cannot say the economy is good, oh, it's our MPP that tied our hands, okay, not to employ in the public sector. So if the economy is good, what is your production in terms of in the real sector, such that the real sector is not absorbing these people? That the only way is that, oh, we should unfreeze the public sector recruitment so you can employ people in the public sector. Today, people, people at Lands Commission, all these government enterprises, but I mentioned Lands Commission because I have had conversation with people. There are people employed there who are not doing anything. They're literally just doubling around. And this replicates across all government departments and agencies. So what do you want to be unfrozen? To do what? To add more? Redundancy? You understand? So the issue is clear. That this 1 year of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has not been stellar. If you put it side by side, the kind of hope, the kind of impression they created, the 24-hour economy, the 1-3-3 proposition has not worked. And if it has not worked, all these nice languages. Of course, Uncle Kwesi, classic talk about, oh, nothing. I agree with him largely. But that is not essential. It's not a bread and butter matter. Akufo-Addo did that at some point. Today, to say that president will go to the office and do that, that bridging that gap, taking away the mystery of that office is great. But that it will not put bread on anybody's table. And I'm happy.
And he
Uncle Kwesi alluded to that. But the point is that he was using it to boost the rating. But that's will not amount to much because it's
Richard,
not material.
Thank you.
It is not material.
Thank you, Richard.
So to the extent that,
you will continue forever.
Just to conclude, to the extent that you allow me, I would want to put on record again that the 1 year of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has not been stellar. It has been high hopes and low delivery, and I don't have any such expectation of things changing in his second term, unless they get to be serious about the issues on the table and they are honest and giving credit where credit is due. That's the only way they can begin to have honest assessment of their record. But for me, it hasn't been a stellar year because a lot of hopes were dashed. A lot of impression they created they were going to deliver, they didn't deliver. It was high on promise and low on delivery.
Thank you. Sababa says, does Ahiagbah mean to say he doesn't know it is the MPP who started exporting nurses to Barbados?
That's not what I said.
Then there's Gameli in Kumasi who says, this African proverb says that let eagle perch and let the kite perch too. This jungle mentality of power holding sway over the weak must not be countenanced by the international community. America's flexing of power and strength must be condemned in its strongest terms. On the basis of this, I humbly suggest that all foreign bases in the country must pack and go immediately. They serve no national interest and don't enhance our sovereign aspirations. The reasons are very parochial, that serve only the interests of our colonizers and make us a second fiddle to the so-called powers. Mr. Wilson. PENDREAM TV.
Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.